All right, hey everyone, welcome to the second episode of Influencer and Advocacy Marketing Show. We call it a show because we're doing it every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. So joining me today, very excited. We love working with influencers, and I really like Dylan Hart of Household Hacker. Dylan's got 4.1 million subscribers on YouTube. That beats most cable TV shows. And about a 4% engagement rate. Very high engagement for what he's doing. He gets about 1 million views on average and is one of the top 5 channels on how-to content. His whole motto is he wants to bring out the MacGyver in all of us using everyday household items. If you don't know who MacGyver is, Google him. But just in brief, it was I think it was an 80s or 90s show, Dylan, where this guy would piece together a bunch of wires and fabric and create these elaborate type of things and get himself out of very difficult situations. So that's what you guys are doing, maybe not at that level, but with everyday household items. Did I accurately describe that?
Yeah, that's fairly accurate. Just trying to save people money using things they already have laying around, basically.
Okay. And who are these 4.1 million subscribers? Who are they?
Well, I mean, from a demographic level, it's mostly people who are 18 to 34. Got some younger ones watching too, and some older folks watching as well. But you know, mostly it's in that category. Mostly guys, about 85% male, based on what I've seen, and you know, just people who are usually a little bit tech savvy or thrifty, like doing little side projects on the weekend, you know, hobbyists, maybe people who are into building their own computers or into gaming. You know, we sort of encompass a lot of tech into our stuff, and we really aim to just you know, empower people with this knowledge. You know, say you've got a friend coming over in 30 minutes and you don't have any more sponges, or you don't have any air freshener to clean up and make it seem like you actually live like a decent human being. So we're going to give you a few tips or tricks to solve that problem real quick. You know, a lot of the stuff we do would be really bachelor-esque, I would say. You know, just you've got your bachelor pad, it's a wreck, here's a quick way to handle it. Or, you know, it can file all the way down to how to fix a leaky faucet or shower. You know, we cover all bases. You know, it's a household hacker. So we're hacking your household. That's essentially it at its core.
So I know it's mostly for men because you got an 85% male ratio, but who are the 15% of females that are watching this? Are they also MacGyvers, or are they just there to laugh?
Hey, it could be a little bit of both. We definitely don't push towards one or the other. It just worked out that way. But, you know, we do occasionally get content that would be considered, you know, open across all avenues, you know, so anyone can watch it and enjoy it. It's not specifically geared towards men or women, you know, for the most part. And if people discover it and like it, they're just going to tack on. But, you know, just the way it's worked out, and over the years, it's just been mostly male. And, you know, your guess is as good as mine as to how that worked out.
So, you know, I like to do this. Let's go back before you started the channel, and let's try to understand Dylan Hart, the individual. Where, you know, tell us a little bit about your upbringing and what you got involved, or how you got involved in creating these hacks for the household. I mean, was this something you always did, or just something you fell upon and it just started to take over your life? Kind of walk us through that.
Sure. Well, as far back as I can personally remember, you know, I was always tinkering with things, taking electronics apart, you know, creating my own tools or devices out of things that were laying around or broken. And, you know, that's just always been a natural interest of mine. You know, I've always been a pretty tech savvy guy, trying to figure out a inexpensive or quick way to solve some sort of issue around the house. And the way I really got into it for a living, I moved to California, Bay Area, when I was 19, and was going to college there, and eventually ended up in the tech industry at a company called Corsair. They make memory and components and, you know, keyboards, mice, headphones, whatever. And I was working in the lab there, doing lots of qualifications and testing and stuff. So I was doing very technical stuff, and I was used to documenting all of my results, and basically just sort of learned the process of going through and doing something and then being able to explain it to somebody else. And that just sort of applied into this a little bit. Initially, the first videos on the channel were sort of mocking the quality level of other tutorial videos out there. You know, this was around when YouTube was still very new, and I would just be looking for various tutorials, or, you know, how to even cook a pie correctly, and you would always get a camera being handheld, not really showing what needed to be shown, and always lots of noise in the background, just very hard to follow. You know, of course, people weren't throwing full production value behind YouTube videos at the time, so you took out of it what you could. But you know, we also noticed that some people would do some amazing feat without showing all the steps to get there. So that's the main thing, focused on making fun of a little satire. So we would initially show you how to complete some amazing task, but, you know, it wasn't really clear how we got to that amazing task. And people just really took to that, and they got the joke, and everyone sort of played along with it. Eventually, you know, that got a little old, and we went back to just doing what we actually found useful and helpful to people, you know, the life hack type stuff. And, you know, over years, we've done a bunch of technical stuff too. I mean, making a homemade air conditioner, or turning an iPhone into a wireless capable charging device, you know, all kinds of things. So basically just using my experience from working in the hardware industry, and having to explain this, that, or the other thing to somebody else, just sort of applied that to making videos in general.
And why do you think it's resonated so well? I mean, obviously with 4.1 million subscribers and 1 million on average views, I mean, why are you resonating with your target audience where maybe some of your competitors aren't resonating as well?
Well, I think we have, on our side, we have time. We've been around a long time. It's an established channel. Certainly have tried many different types of content over the years, and I feel that we evolve whenever there's a change in the you know, at least YouTube community. If people are veering more towards scientific type content, then that might be what we'll focus on for a while, just to make sure everyone's happy and enjoys watching things. And, you know, right now people are really into just really quick, fast methods to solving problems, you know, for little to no money. So that's what we've been focusing on lately. And, you know, we always do that. We stay with the times, evolve when necessary. And I think that's just enabled us to garner a large audience of people who find our content useful.
Okay. And are you doing anything with the video side of things? Like, I like the way that you kind of document the process or the hack, for example. Are you guys very conscious of that? Do you have a style, or, you know, what is it that you think about when you're kind of documenting this hack, this household hack?
Well, it really will depend on the video. Sometimes they just flow out, you know, immediately, and other times we have to sort of walk around the house and sort of figure out, hey, you know, what's this thing right here? How could we make that better? Or what's a problem I ran into yesterday? You know, how can I solve that? And then after we've established an issue or a problem, or in some cases even create a problem, you know, very infomercial style, which people get a kick out of sometimes. We try to quickly solve it. I mean, within 30 seconds in most cases. So, the whole idea is to not have to spend all this time to get from point A to point B. This goes back to, the competitor thing. A lot of people will spend 10 minutes telling you how to polish a wood floor when we can do it in 20 seconds and be just as effective. And then as soon as that's done, move right on to the next one. Just keep your attention there. I think that's a real big part of it. Never just sort of rambling on like I'm doing now.
Well, your videos don't ramble on, so
that's because we can edit those. Yeah.
You have a fantastic editor then. So I want to move now to what the show is about, more on the influencer marketing side. So you're probably aware of this. Fanatics Media, we work with a lot of influential people, especially on YouTube, and we have them kind of showcase our clients in a very unique and fun way. Kind of like what you do for these household hackers, but maybe making the product the star. And it's authentic, it's trustworthy, because not all the videos we do showcase our clients' products in a positive light. Sometimes they make fun of the product a little bit, but at least the audience knows it's trustworthy, it's authentic. And almost all of our influencers will not even do a video if they don't like the product. So they always like the product or they don't do the video. But in the video itself, it comes across as very trustworthy, just because they're just giving their thoughts and so forth. So my question is, I know you've done these videos for brands, and I think Audible is one, but tell us kind of your approach to working with brands or products. Did I say products twice? What the heck? Products or services. And, tell us how you like to work with brands and marketers as an influencer.
Sure. Very simply put, as you already noted, most people won't advertise or work with a brand that they don't believe in. That is key to everything. We have a large audience. A lot of people are going to tune in. So it's very important that I'm not steering people down the wrong path, first of all. And there have been times where, we'll try something out and it's just not quite there yet for us. So, we'll move on, ask them, come back to us. But, generally we'll ask for a product first and we will give it a whirl. If it's good, if we find some utility in it, if it solves some problems, then it's a perfect candidate to, for us to promote it. And we will work with the brands to figure out exactly what points they're trying to convey. So, hey, what feature points do you want the audience to know about? And we tend to try and focus on those by testing it, on camera even. And I believe that gives the viewers, the legitimacy that we're actually trying this product. We're not just a shill, we really want you to see that this thing works. And if it's a service, same thing, we'll show the service being used. And we just try to convey that to the audience, that this is a useful item that will make your life easier. And we typically try and fit these products in with content that we already have planned. For example, working with Clorox about a month or so ago, they wanted to promote their dusting wipes, and we happen to have a cleaning life hack video in the works. So we turned our focus to that project instead, so that we could work better with the advertiser, and it all came out pretty good. You already have people watching who are interested in some tips about house cleaning, stuff like that, and then we show them a product that can make it even easier. So it's just sort of win-win.
Okay, so Clorox it's a great example, because that's something that is a household item and that you use every day if you like Clorox. But how about something like Audible? We tell our clients, just because it's not a product that's a direct fit with the influencer themselves, as long as they're talking to the same audience and we can weave it into their standard show in a very creative and engaging and fun way, where the influencer's audience doesn't look at them and say, what does this have to do with household hacking? So I'm all for bringing in products that don't necessarily fit the show's image, but is woven into a way that makes sense because your target audience, would listen to Audible or reads books or geeks out on things. So kind of explain to us how this Audible thing happened and, why you're making it work, because they keep coming back to you.
Right. So yeah, been working with Audible for years now, and it's a similar way of dealing with that. Obviously, Audible's a audiobook service, and who really spends a lot of time reading anymore? Obviously a lot of people do, but for the most part, we're all so busy. By the time we get home at the end of the day, it's just sort of, you only get a little bit to flip through the book, and it might take you a month to complete a book. At least that's
right.
the problem in my case. So by exhibiting just how useful having a book on tape, so to speak, is, conveying that to the audience, putting it into normal situations that they deal with on a daily basis. Are you waiting for the city bus? Are you stuck in traffic? Are you doing house chores and you just need something to keep your mind stimulated? Then, Audible's going to give you that stimulation and help you catch up on some reading. Maybe you've heard about, some book Stephen King wrote and you wanted to check it out, but you just didn't have the time. So, we'll try and convey that to people. And stuff like that, a service like that is just, it's so good on such a broad basis. It doesn't necessarily need lead-in content, but we will occasionally, if we're covering a certain subject, then that might be the book I'll check out on Audible and listen to before I recommend it, because I always recommend a particular book that I've been listening to. So, you can tie it back in that way, but in most cases, products and services that wouldn't necessarily fit with a full-on, content set can just be implemented in the sense that, hey, this is going to improve your life in one way or another, whether it's backing up, data on your system, or just, finding a way to make your daily commute be a little less hectic, right? So no matter what, we're always going to try and show people how their life can be improved by anything else that we're talking about. And, that comes across the videos. And I believe our audience is very in tune with that. And they appreciate that we put out real world situations for them and not just read a bulleted list of marketing points. We definitely take those into consideration and try to exhibit them through, an advertisement, but it's, just one of those things we like to test firsthand, if that makes sense. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but hopefully I got to some of it.
Well, I mean, from my point of view, it's, the marketers that are watching this are, a lot of times I'm called crazy. That's nothing new. But I tell them, look, we know who impacts your target audience. They're not always obvious. So if you sell cars, for example, you might not know that, a sports influencer on YouTube would be an excellent person to partner with to showcase your car, because they talk about sports all the time. Well, I could tell you we could create a campaign that has to do with sports and cars and make it resonate with the target audience. That's just exactly the same as your car's target audience. So, you're kind of doing that with Audible, and I'm wondering how that even happened, and they continue to do business with you. So it must be going really well for them. Right.
Well, it came about, it was just a trial thing years ago, and we had some great success with it. So they've continued to come back. It's really simple as that. Worked with lots of brands over the years, and many of them do come back for second, thirds, fourths. In Audible's case, 20ths. And it's just a matter of us, really trying to understand the product. So if someone reaches out to us, we'll work with them directly and try and figure out the best way to convey what they want to convey. As far as how Audible ended up in my lap, that was just circumstance, really. It just happened. I hadn't actively gone out looking for them, they found us and wanted to promote their product. So just it worked out.
So do you have any campaigns that didn't go well, and if so, why didn't it go well?
No, not really.
All gone well. The brand has come to you and said, "Hey, this worked out perfectly," and we had no problems with it.
There's nothing to my knowledge that hasn't gone over smoothly. And I think that's just because we put a lot of effort and work to make sure that we're conveying a product, in a reasonable manner, and being forthright with the audience about what they might be getting into. I mean, there might be something from the very early days, and I mean like 8 years ago.
Yeah.
But maybe just when we were learning, perhaps, not necessarily that there was a bad product or anything, but perhaps our delivery wasn't as good as it is now. Just working out the kinks a little bit, and no particular product comes to mind. But I just remember, back when we first started doing this, it was a question of how do we convey this product without looking like a shill, Yeah. So there is a learning curve there, and I think that most people who do this for a living, they have to try things out to find what best works for them and their audience. And once you've got some experience doing it, it's just a formulaic thing for you. You look at all the pieces and you put them together to create something that's compelling for people to be interested in.
Yeah, I mean, the ones let's say the campaigns that don't go well for us are either missed expectations. Maybe we failed in providing the client with the right expectations, or the influencer's not coming across as authentic, either because they didn't really like the product, even though they told us they did, or once they started using the product, they had a change of mind, or they didn't have the heart that they normally put into their specific episode. Now, we try to screen that out as much as possible. We really want the influencer to try the product for at least a week, if not longer, depending on what it is. Sure. We've had beauty products where if we required them to use the beauty product for 6 weeks and really to come across as, okay, this either worked for you or it didn't work for you. If it didn't work for you, just don't do the video. Mm-hmm. So those are the issues that we've had. But it sounds like you've been very good at screening those things out and aligning client expectation to what they want to see in the video without dictating what's going to be in the video. I think that's
absolutely. Yeah, that's key. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do not dictate. If you're listening to this, don't dictate what the influencer does. You could kind of have a brainstorming around the creative, but let them say it in their own words with their own emotions, or they're going to come across as a robot, and it's not going to help you at all when doing these campaigns.
I cannot convey the importance of that. There have been many times where someone will want to work with you, but it's under the condition that you're going to say things the way they want them said. And the thing is, as creators online doing video, we know our audience. We have a particular way of talking to our audiences, and you don't want someone else coming in and exuding creative control, because you're going to be met with a disaster. You have to really listen to what the people are saying. And, that's not to say you can't make suggestions, but ultimately we know what works best in our channel because we've grown our channels. And it's typically just about staying within the confines that we've already established, and trying not to go outside of that too much, because that's when the audience rebels, or you end up with negative comments, people saying, I don't like that product. What are you talking about? I could tell you didn't like it either, stuff like that. You don't want that ever. The worst thing you can do is when you're promoting something is to check your comment section and see a revolt. And, that's not something that I've dealt with personally. There's always going to be a few people who come in. That's going to happen no matter what. But for the most part, you get a very positive response when you're clear, concise, and you implement a sponsor, an ad, or whatever, in a good way that is cohesive to the audience understanding that you like this thing and you're excited about it and you want other people to know about it, and that's what we try and do, and that works pretty well, I suppose.
Excellent. Okay, so let's move to kind of a final topic that I want to cover. I think that's important, maybe the most important topic of influencer marketing, and that is the data and the metrics about these campaigns. Now, there's a couple of data and metrics that we really like to study. One is share of voice. The other is, how many shares across social media. Another would be around, what kind of engagement that the video gets, or if it's a blog post, what kind of engagement the blog post gets. But the number one thing that we look at is ROI, and most, at least B2C organizations, are looking at are looking at the ROI of a particular engagement. So let me give you an example. If we paid an influencer $10,000 to do a video that was authentic and everything we just talked about, and they were only able to produce $5,000 in sales. Now, granted, $5,000 is day one. These videos sit and live forever on YouTube, and with good SEO value, it
very important. Yes,
it could be selling
forever.
It could be selling for the next 3 years. So you can't really determine it from day one, but you get a good idea of how this is going to perform over time. So, what kind of data or metrics are your clients asking you for? The brand's asking you for, and do you have any that you can share without running afoul of any non-disclosure agreements you have with them?
I'm not sure if there's anything specifically you're looking for. I mean,
are they giving you information about, what your view count is, what your engagement rate is, but are they saying, hey, we just spent $50,000 with you, here's what happened? Are they sharing those metrics with you?
For the most extent, we're able to judge if we did good if they come back and if there's no complaints. The companies we work with typically want to hold their data privately, and
really?
From what I've experienced, yes, absolutely. That's not something that's commonly shared back and forth. There are times where we will have a communal bit.ly link that we can track, on our end, and everything's usually very, very, very positive. I know one of the biggest problems we deal with is we crash servers when we promote a website, which is a good and bad thing.
Right.
But
ultimately, Dylan, even the bit.ly link, you're really not responsible after they click through to a particular landing page or a product page, right? Because you don't control the quality of the product. You don't control.
That's on their end, correct? And we do try and warn that, hey, are your servers ready for this? It's not so much a day 2 or day 3 thing, but on that initial release, that's when your biggest influx of viewers will come in. And in our case, if we put a video online at a pretty decent time, just during the afternoon or maybe prime time in the evening, when a video goes out, it might get 100,000 views in just the first 20 minutes, and that can crash a server if a portion of those people are all clicking on a link at the same time. So it's a matter of just being prepared for an initial influx, because that can really hurt the whole point of advertising in the first place, not allowing people to see what you were paying for them to see.
But I'd even go beyond that, beyond crashing servers. I'm even talking about, if it's a new product that's being put out from, let's say it's Procter & Gamble. and they're putting out a new product that targets, males between 30 and 45, which I think you said was your target audience. You don't control what product it is that they're putting out, or the price, or how it looks on a landing page, or what the call to action is. So I think, and I tell the brands we work with is, they can only control the traffic to your site in a sense. Now you can offer coupon codes, which I think is a great idea. I'll give the YouTuber a coupon code that lasts for 30 days or what have you. But you can't control, or the YouTuber can't control the quality of your product. So ROI is critical. We're big on it. But ultimately, the YouTuber or the influencer is only responsible for driving traffic or driving some kind of engagement that you've agreed upon. And they should be judged on those numbers, not necessarily be responsible for the entire ROI. They share in that responsibility.
Absolutely. We start the transaction. You have to complete it.
Ultimately.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Okay. Well, wonderful that we agree. Is there anything that I didn't cover? You're talking to marketers now. That we should have covered that's important to know, either about your channel or just about influencer marketing in general?
Well, sure. I can actually make a suggestion that
excellent.
I would find lovely if this happened more frequently on our end. When you mentioned coupon codes a moment ago, which is obviously a very, very good way to get people interested in an item, that special deal. However, I find with saturation, if an advertiser is doing a large buy and covering lots of, content creators at once, and they all have a code or, a specific code that's going to achieve the same end that they already offer on their website. A good example of this would be, like a Netflix or something like that. They might say, hey, if you put in this code right here, you can get 30 days free on Netflix. Netflix offers that without even putting in a code. So you want to try and spice things up and maybe add something just a little bit more unique to these people that you want to work with, because then their audience is going to feel like they're getting a really good deal, and you want that. Maybe you give them an extra week. It's 5 weeks instead of 4 weeks free. Something like that. Just something specific to a channel to really drive people over there and get away from that. Oh, well, I can get a month free anywhere, but with this guy, I get 5 weeks free. That's great. You get what I'm saying? Just make a more compelling coupon code, not just the default thing that everyone has. It doesn't even have to be more free time or a free product. It could be anything. Maybe a special features turned on an account, or maybe you get an extra something with your order. Just things that are really going to push that over the edge and drive the sale.
One last thing that made me think about something we've been thinking about is not just a one-time thing, but an episodic type of engagement you have with the brand. So, for example, I know you've done a lot with Audible, but I don't know if they follow the same theme, for 3 episodes in a row, what have you. But have you thought about doing something more episodic, which is, in the first episode, you weave the brand's message and product into that, and the second one's a follow-up, and the third one's kind of a conclusion. Have you thought about doing it that way, and have you done it that way, or any thoughts on that?
So that's not anything we've done. No, we typically don't do episodic type content. Usually, everything's supposed to sit as its own, singular package. So we try and convey our messaging in one video. Now we have done multi-video deals with some marketers, and those have come out well. But typically the messaging is the same in each of the segments. But it is an interesting premise that you bring up. Just not something that I've tried personally yet.
Yeah, I mean, if you guys are focusing on a certain theme, I think you said earlier it's more on what was it, how-to content you're kind of focusing on, on a budget with, financial budget.
Sure. Saving money, saving time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you had, I'm trying to think of a sponsor off the top of my head about saving money, saving time. I don't know. Maybe it's Geico. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. And Geico came to you and said, hey, you can save money on your auto insurance, your home insurance, and some other form of insurance, and weave this into 3 episodes, focusing on one each, and then tie it all together at the end. More of a true campaign is like we like to run. That could be pretty interesting to people that aren't Geico customers that also follow your channel.
Sure. Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's more of a long form advertisement. If implemented correctly, could be very powerful. If implemented poorly, could anger a lot of people viewing. So you'd really have to figure that one out and do some testing first, obviously, and see what the audience is receptive to. And have a backup plan if video 1 goes out and
it doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, they all have to stand on their own, but if they could all tie into one another, and I also think that helps promote each of the videos that are part of this 3-pack, for example, if done correctly.
Right, and in my experience, sequels don't perform as well as
the original.
As the original, and that's why we try to aim for standalone. We might revisit a subject. We do that often. For example, I did a vinegar life hack video a couple years ago, and it did fantastic. Then just last week, I put out another one with 10 new ways to use it. So we revisit topics, but these are standalone videos. You don't have to see the first one. It's not part 2, Electric Boogaloo. It's just it's its own thing. And I think people are less inclined to watch something if it says part 2 in there. I mean, it could be very pivotal to have good titling as well. That's extremely important. So if you were doing a 3-video, sprawl with a brand, and you made each one able to stand on its own without requiring the previous, but you could still push the previous ones, then, that's fine.
The way I just see this as a challenge, Dylan, because it takes a lot of work behind the scenes. Most brands that have not done influencer marketing don't know this, but it takes a lot of work behind the scenes just to get you on board, negotiate the fee, the creative, kind of be a part of the creative without taking control of it, obviously, all the things that we just talked about. And just to have that end after 1 video episode is a lot of work. So if you were able to figure out 2-pack, a 3-pack, 5 maybe, when you look at, what you see on TV, where they each stand alone, but every episode has got some kind of tie-in to a theme. And something like Procter & Gamble, I mean, they've got, 1,000 products? I don't know. But it just seems like you could create some episodic content around each of those products without having to feature them, but they're incorporated in. And I don't know if you've seen this, Dylan, but we just talked about this in another video. YouTube's coming out with TrueView. So everything on the right-hand side that you want to put in as a product can be purchased automatically. They've already tested this with Sephora, and Sephora has seen 80% uplift in conversions. So this is something that we're trying to figure out is how do you go beyond 1 episode so we don't have to call you a year later and get you to do it again, but how can you incorporate this into 3, 5, 10 episodes, yet you'll still be relevant to your audience, and there should be a better way of purchasing the products that are mentioned in the video without having the products take over the video. We don't want to change the entertainment value of what you're doing, but we want to kind of weave in a product story into each of those episodes. So it's just something we're thinking about and wanted to bring that to your attention to see if you had any ideas.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think you sort of hit the same points I was thinking there. Just, doing a long form of advertising with any brand is, obviously going to make the numbers pop out more. There's no doubt about that.
Probably less expensive too, wouldn't it? I mean, once you would charge less for 3 episodes per episode than you would if it was just 1, I would think.
Right. Right. I mean, there would be, some level of discount going in, sure. But at the same time, you'd want to make sure it's all spaced out correctly, as you don't want to, the audience comes first, really. And a lot of folks are receptive to the fact that, it takes ad dollars to make content nowadays. It does, especially where production value is concerned. It costs money to achieve that, and most people are receptive to that. But a little example, it's not episodic in that nature, but I've worked with brands where I've done three video deals for them, but we space them out over a period of months, maybe one a month for 3 months. And that's typically what works. And it keeps, refreshing for a 3-month period, which is useful to the advertiser. And, it also keeps us going as the makers here. And, everyone's happy with that. So it's just a consistent flow of data and traffic happening there. So
good. Well, Dylan, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really loved hearing from you, from your perspective, because so much of the time we're spending with brands and less so with influencers like yourself and your big subscribing fans on your YouTube channel. And just as a reminder, everyone watching this, we're going to talk to more people like Dylan, but we're also going to talk about brands to get their perspective on influencer marketing, because it's really hot right now, but I see way too many people and agencies and brands doing it wrong. And we really want to educate the market on how to do it right, and to do it in a way where it makes financial sense, not just to do it because it's cool. So, Dylan, any last second thoughts about what we talked about today?
Just, following up with what you just said, I think of key importance is let the people that you want to work with run the show. Make sure that you have an agreement as far as what will be conveyed and how they're going to go about that. But ultimately, they need to present the material in their own way, and that's going to be the best single-handedly. That's the best way to get your product across. Let that person talk to their audience in their own way. Don't give them a laundry list of things. Say, hey, yeah, we'd like you to point out that this product can achieve this. Can you work that out? Sure, but don't have them read off something. Let them put it in their own words. That's very important. And legally speaking, you have to let them do it in their own words. But unless it's simply a straight up commercial. But in most cases, in influencer marketing, we want to explore the product, and we want to give a real solid recommendation and tell people what we liked about it, and hopefully they agree with us and check it out themselves.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, Dylan. If you want to get a hold of Dylan, look at the show notes and you can see his channel, subscribe to his channel. And if you're a brand that wants to work with somebody like Dylan, get a hold of us. We can put you in touch with Dylan and work out a fantastic campaign. He's very reasonable. He's got a huge audience. If you've got a brand or a product that you want to sell to an audience like his, there's no better way to do it. I promise you. We've tried everything. So again, thanks to Dylan, and we'll be in touch real soon.
All right. Take care.